The ancient Hebrews asserted, uniquely, by the way, of all religions, that God made the universe out of nothing. Now, incidentally, the idea that God or gods made the universe is a very old idea. But in every other religion, God or gods fashioned the universe out of some other stuff. God is a kind of carpenter. He took the stuff of the universe and he made life and he made man. But the Hebrews said no, there was nothing, and then there was a universe. And I want to suggest that modern science has proved this to be 100% correct.
No, it's not even coherent, let alone correct. Like so many apologists, Dinesh makes the mistake of thinking that the idea that the universe is finite in the past is equivalent to the idea that it was created out of nothing. It is not.
If you go to an introductory physics class at Notre Dame, you will learn that as a direct consequence of the Big Bang, not only did the universe have a beginning, not only did all the matter have a beginning, but space and time also had a beginning. In other words, first there was nothing, no space, no time. And then there was a universe with space and time.
The very assertion, first there was no space and time, then there was space and time, is self-contradictory. You can't have a sequence of first and then if time is not already in place. Whatever comes first must be within time.
Suddenly the Christian concept of eternity, of a God being outside of space and time, which for centuries was scientifically unintelligible.
And still it is not only scientifically unintelligible, but also logically unintelligible.
So my point is, let's apply the reasonable standard. If we see a fine-tuned universe, what's more likely? Someone fine-tuned it, or it fine-tuned itself?
When it comes to the fine-tuning of the universe, William Lane Craig says that there are three conceivable explanations: chance, necessity, or design. Craig, of course, thinks that chance and necessity have either been ruled out, or they are inferior explanations to design. Neither is the case. I suspect that the reason why the features of the universe are what they are is because there is some factor we don't yet see which necessitates that they be that way. Necessity hasn't been ruled out, and even if we don't know what necessitates that the universe be the way it is, the idea that some natural phenomenon does is a hell of a lot better an explanation than the idea of a timeless, spaceless, disembodied mind. Even chance is a vastly superior explanation. Sure, if the other conceivable constants are all just as likely as the current ones, that would make this universe an astronomically unlikely universe. But if the choice of hypotheses is between one that is astronomically unlikely and one that is outright nonsensical, in my opinion, the astronomically unlikely one seems like the safer bet. And then D'Souza, like just about every other apologist on the planet, makes this stupid argument.
But my point is that while the atheists are often crying crocodile tears over the crimes of religion, crimes that, by the way, often occurred 500 or 1,000 years ago, what about the vastly greater crimes of atheist regimes committed in our own lifetime in the last century, and they are still going on? If you take Hitler, Stalin, and Mao alone, the three of them collectively in the space of a few decades killed close to 100 million people.
Why are you throwing Hitler in that mix? While Hitler may have lied about being a Christian, there is no evidence that he was an atheist. And while the Inquisition and the Crusades were committed in defense of the faith, most of the millions of people Stalin and Mao killed were not killed in defense of atheism. Millions were killed from starvation when people were taken off of the farms. These people were not killed because they believed in God. There were several people who were killed for opposing the regime, of course, but when people are killed for opposing a regime, it is often because the regime's ideology has been elevated to something very much akin to a religious belief.
Of the first one you mentioned, Adolf Hitler, it has to be said that I can almost give you the page reference of Mein Kampf, where he says that his desire to slaughter the Jews is because his fealty to the work of the Lord. He regards it as a holy cause. That's in Mein Kampf. Maybe he doesn't have the authority to say that, but you can't call him secular. On the belt buckle of every Nazi soldier, it read, Gott mit uns, every single one of them, God on our side. Just as the Confederacy had Deo Vindice as its official motto in the Civil War for slavery. It's been calculated by the Catholic historian Paul Johnson that up to 1/3 of the SS were confessing Catholics.
Even if Hitler had been lying about not being an atheist, why did he feel the need to pretend to be Christian? He pretended to be Christian because Germany was a Christian country that had no interest in becoming an atheist regime. Apologists often argue that we need to keep our country Christian because they seem to think that atheism somehow leads to authoritarianism. But clearly, being a Christian country didn't protect Germany from authoritarianism.